With all the animated movie sequels in development, like Minions 3, Incredibles 3, Frozen 3, and Shrek 5, I thought I'd save studios time by writing these films myself, plus many more. From the very little revealed about Zootopia 2, we know there's going to be a snake named Gary, voiced by Ke-Huy Quan. So imagine if it opens in the jungle, where Judy, Nick, and the other police officers are competing in a fun and games competition before returning to the line of duty, solving a montage of mysteries like who let the dogs out, finding the eye of the tiger, and returning a baby shark to its parents before ending the day at a concert where Craig Crocodile is rocking out the joint. But it's at this concert where one of Zootopia's walls collapses. This is the second occurrence of this in the past week. Suddenly, what was initially considered a malfunctioning error is now seen as a deliberate action. It's believed that an animal is going around destroying the borders of Zootopia, effectively ruining the artificial environments, leading to the different species having to relocate. The animals who live within these borders are the ones accused, but Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde aren't convinced and hop onto the case to prove their suspicions. Within the investigation, both Judy and Nick are accused of being responsible because rabbits and foxes are mass-producing mammals. While it's neither of them, it does make them consider the possibility of it being another animal that matches this profile. This hunch then leads them to a snake named Gary, who's the one deliberately sabotaging the borders. You see, snakes are known to be mass-producing reptiles, leading to overpopulation and limited space in Zootopia. Gary's put together a crew of other animals who are also running low in their environment and are having to expand their land. While we initially suspect Gary and his crew to be villainous characters, we empathise towards them because funding has been lacking to the expansion of their habitats. So the mystery has been solved, but the problem is still there. How can Zootopia cater for the overpopulation? Well, earlier in the movie, Mr. Big passed away, so Frou-Frou generously decides to donate her large inheritance to the expansion of Zootopia with new land, islands, and mega skyscrapers, referring to it as Zootopia 2.
He said it! He said it!
As for Judy and Nick, they fall in love throughout the movie, but because of the overpopulation, felt it wasn't appropriate to start a family together. However, now that that issue has been resolved, the couple feel comfortable giving birth to a dozen rabbit-fox hybrids that are as adorable as dronkies.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Shrek 5 seems to be taking place about 15 years after the events of Shrek Forever After. So what if you had Puss, Kitty and Perito arriving in Far Far Away for Artie's birthday, where Shrek, Fiona, Donkey and a whole bunch of other fairy tale creatures are in attendance too? As Artie's opening his presents, he passes out, where Merlin reveals that he's been poisoned. So this sets off a whodunit murder mystery, while Merlin takes Arthur to a hospital bed and tries to conjure up a healing potion. Everyone has their motives, like Worcestershire Academy headmaster Lancelot, who was accused because Artie cut funding to the school. Snow White was in a relationship with Artie, and they broke up on bad terms. Even Shrek and Fiona are suspects, because their kids are attending a boarding school at Far Far Away. They're seen as wanting the throne to be closer to their kids. Basically, all that is known is that one of the presidents poisoned Artie, either when he ate it, drank from it, or touched it. So they then all try to figure out who the killer is, with different characters explaining their series of events from their journey to get the present, to eventually arriving in Far Far Away and giving it to Artie. We see the perspective of characters like Shrek and Fiona, Donkey and Dragon, Puss, Kitty and Perito, the Ogre siblings, and some series of events told by other notable fairy tale characters. Each of the series of events could even be told in a different animation style, like Spider-Verse. After all the stories have been told, there's no clear suspect, and to make the situation even worse, Merlin appears, saying that all hope is lost. The antidote requires one more ingredient, but he doesn't know where to find it. That item? Blue flowers with red thorns. But then Donkey pops up. Merlin and Donkey then teleport to where Shrek got an arrow in his butt in the first movie, and pick the flower before creating the antidote. Meanwhile, Shrek figures out that while everyone's stories crossed over, there was only one character who everyone crossed paths with. That character's name is Morgan Le Fay, the half-sister of Arthur and someone who wants the throne. We learned that she wanted to tamper with Shrek and Fiona's gift, but circumstances made that impossible, so she had to try with everyone else. Some characters had already wrapped the present, so the poison couldn't be added, or they themselves would be poisoned and unable to deliver the gift, and other situations made it too difficult to apply the poison without looking suspicious. Morgan didn't want to poison Artie directly, or that would prevent her from getting the throne. She needed him to die and Shrek and Fiona to take the fall, so the kingdom wouldn't be suspicious before she was given the power to rule. With the mystery revealed, Morgan, who's at the party, tries to get past the fairy tale creatures to stop Artie from taking the antidote. The others try to stop her, but they're too late. She destroys the cure and Artie passes away. However, Shrek and Fiona still stand in Morgan's way of the throne. She uses her magic to attack the others, who are massively outpowered, and just as all hope seems to be lost, Shrek pulls the sword and the stone and slays the evil witch. Oh yeah, the sword and the stone is foreshadowed earlier in the movie as a tourist attraction at Far, Far Away, where everyone tries to pull it from the rock. We hear a tour guide say, "Legend has it that the wielder of the sword and the stone can defeat any threat, no matter how magically advanced they are." So with Morgan defeated, Donkey gives Shrek 5.
He said it! He said it!
Shrek and Fiona are now king and queen of Far, Far Away, a position Shrek now accepts and feels ready to take on since the events of the third movie. Basically, Shrek 5 would be, what if Hoodwinked, but in the Shrek universe? I always wish that movie had a high budget so the animation style would still hold up today. I'm not trying to take anything away from the animators who worked on that movie, but the limitations of 2005 technology, and with a budget of only $8 million dollars, means it doesn't really hold up 20 years later, and the reason it doesn't get spoken enough about. I would love it if Incredibles 3 had a time jump, set 15 years after the events of Incredibles 2, where it opens with Jack, now evil, aggressively fighting Frozone's daughter in an intense superpowered battle. However, as the battle finishes and they each go their separate ways, the pair meet up in a back alley, laughing at the situation. Basically, they want to be action figures on trading cards, have shows made about them, but because of the oversaturation of supers, they've been finding it difficult to stand out. So they sneak out at night, constantly changing their names, costumes, which are of course designed by
Edna Mode.
And the pair even switch out which one of them is the villain to try and find something that will make them stand out to become paid full-time supers. One day, when Violet is driving Jack home from school, a superpowered battle is going on out the window. But Violet refuses to let her brother fight, saying there are plenty of other supers to take care of it. And she's right, but the person who does take care of the villain is Frozone's daughter. Not only that, but it was an epic battle, making the news, leading to her becoming a more recognised hero, getting sponsorships and other financial deals. Jack becomes jealous, so as he continues to try and make a name for himself, it catches the eye of a business person named Busy, who commercialises supers. Busy finds good and villainous beings, offering them a share of toy sales, trading cards and other merch. The villainy side of this operation is kept under the radar, not knowing that Busy is hiring villains to fight heroes. Busy tracks Jack down and offers him an opportunity to have his own villain, making money as a hero if he signs away his rights to be used for merch. Eager, Jack signs away, but we later learn that when the Parr family are all out having dinner together, the villain wasn't for him, but for the whole family, and it's a villainous family named the Overs. The Parr family are in all different stages of life. Helen and Bob are older, where being supers is not really an option for them anymore. The Incredibles 3
He said it! He said it!
kids are also living regular lives, not really embracing their powers. Well, except for Jack. So this family v family battle is lost by the Incredibles before the Overs leave the scene. The Parr family learn what Jack has done and try to get themselves out of the situation, but Jack signed the contract. Meanwhile, Busy is making millions from the new hero and villain pairing. Having a family versus family is new and different to consumers. Throughout the film, the two families battle, slowly weakening the Incredibles due to their age and lack of using their powers over the last decade. Busy's villainous operation is eventually uncovered, but the Parr family are captured. Jack manages to escape and tries to fight the villains on his own, but he's outnumbered, so he gets the assistance of Frozone's daughter. The pair team up to fight together, and it's seen by everyone around the world. They win the movie, shutting down Busy's company, and end the fight with a kissy kiss, giving in to their mutual crushes towards each other. And this detail of a romantic couple was the reason Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible were so popular in their glory days, because the public loves superhero couples. So Jack and Frozone's daughter become the most popular heroes in town, which their parents are supportive of as long as they finish their homework. Then the movie ends with Jack and Frozone's daughter coming face to face with a young romantic villainous couple. Now, I'll admit, I don't think I've seen any Ice Age movie after the third one, but apparently they're up to 6, and that installment is being released in 2026. So what I think could be interesting is bringing back a now grown-up Pinky. After being saved by Manny, Sid, and Diego in the first film, he's grown up in a tribe that prevents other tribes from hunting endangered animals. These animals are reunited with Pinky when he helps stop a group from attacking Manny, Ellie, and Peaches. Diego then recognizes Pinky's scent to remember this is the kid they rescued all those years ago. Because the animals and people can't communicate with spoken language, this information is relayed through gentle interaction. This idea is also played for laughs because the animals can't understand the people either, so they have to rely on non-verbal communication. Because Pinky was later told about the story of his adventure as a baby, he realizes this must be those animals in that tale. It then becomes Pinky's active mission to protect the animals from the tribe who are after the mammoth tusks and fur. Pinky knows of a location that could become a safe haven for the animals, free from any poachers, so leads them in that direction. However, this ultimately culminates with the poaching tribe tracking them down and attacking. During the attack, the leader of the poachers sees their baby put in danger, only for Manny to save the kid. The leader is eternally grateful, making the decision to not only spare the animals' lives, but thanks to the guidance from Pinky's tribe, learns to live without harming animals. The animals go on to live their life knowing they're safe from danger, while the two people tribes merge together, calling themselves the Ice Age 6.
He said it! He said it!
Even though there's like 30 people in the tribe. It's said a long time ago, people aren't great with numbers yet. And I obviously can't forget about Scrat, whose acorn is stolen by none other than the Minions. Unfortunately, those characters are owned by a different studio. But I mean, that's like free dollary dues right there. Imagine putting two of the biggest merchandising opportunities together in one movie. You'd sell so many toys. To the surprise of absolutely no one, a third Minions movie is in development. So wouldn't it be cool if Gru's toy sales, Minions, are sent out by the AVL to reform evil minions from their evil masters, changing their life's purpose of always ruling an evil master? There are so many minions out there, not all of them ended up with Gru. Some of these characters' evil masters include sinister animals, a billionaire, someone who constantly changes their appearance to an evil character from a movie, like Darth Vader, the Joker, and Hannibal Lecter. The AVL minions created an informative video to educate the other minions about why they should be good. They have a bootcamp style program on how to be good, and end the process with a final assessment that turns these minions to the light side of the Force. The lack of minions assisting their villains has led to a significant decrease in villainous activity, angering the evil masters. So those who lost their minions team up to try and take down the AVL for doing this by implementing the largest heist in the history of the world ever, stealing every artifact hidden within the AVL vault to show the government that they are not responsible enough to remain an organisation. And the villains are successful. The sheer number of minions just get in the way of each other trying to stop the criminal masterminds. I hate to say this, but it turns out there is such thing as too many minions. So with the AVL shut down, all the minions are without a job, including the Minions 3.
He said it! He said it!
In order to get their jobs back, each group of minions explain their former master's strengths and weaknesses so they can use it against them. And they're successful in the take-back mission, even morphing together at one point to make a Mega Minion. It turns out, there isn't such thing as too many minions. The AVL is reinstated, but there are far too many minions to keep on as staff. So Sallius Ramsbottom opens a new organisation, the Minions Community Service, where they benefit the community in different ways. Helping out at old people's homes, babysitting, walking pets, being firefighters, stunt performing in movies, being bodyguards to important people, etc. I think this idea is so good that Illumination should just call the movie Minions $3 billion dues at the box office. Imagine if the Super Mario sequel opened years ago at the Comet Observatory, home of Rosalina and the Lumas. Bowser of course has an obsession with stars, so wants them. However, the power of the Lumas are linked with Rosalina. The only way for Bowser to harness the magic is if Rosalina willingly says so. So he nearly destroys the whole world trying to achieve his goal. But before he can, one of the Lumas summons a pipe for Rosalina to escape, leading her to a mysterious location. Bowser does manage to capture a Luma, but again is unable to use its power. That's why it's locked up in his castle. Cutting to the present day, where Mario, Luigi, Peach and Toad play a life-size version of a game created by Mario, which he's called Mario Party. This makes Bowser jealous as he watches from his cell, wanting to play. At the end of the game, Mario and Peach look over the Mushroom Kingdom, where she talks about wanting to find where she came from. But as this is happening, Wario and Waluigi enact an epic prison break, releasing Bowser from the Mushroom Kingdom. They escape by riding on Yoshis, creatures who are believed to have gone extinct. The three evil goers escape through a pipe into Brooklyn, where Mario, Luigi and Peach follow. On the other side is the Yoshi egg that was teased at the end of the first movie, hatching as they arrive. We learn that Yoshi's attached to the first being they see as they hatch out of their shell, and as Mario is that person, the green spotted dinosaur connects with the red hatted plumber. However, having a dinosaur follow them around in New York would be a little suspicious, so they try to leave it behind, only for it to keep following regardless, eating all the apples off the tree along the Brooklyn streets. Suddenly they pass a florist, giving Peach a flashback. She's seen this shop before, so they go inside. And working inside the store is a Daisy. No, not like the flower. There's not a flower behind the register. It's Daisy from those Mario games. She looks remarkably similar to Peach, leading to Daisy recognizing her immediately and learning that they're siblings. Now, I know they're not siblings in the games, but there were other differences from games to movie in the first film, so this can be another. Daisy also reveals that their mother is Rosalina, who was brought into this world because of Bowser. Realizing the reason Bowser is in Brooklyn is to find Rosalina, the group rush to her house, but they're too late. He's already kidnapped her. Bowser used that captured Luma as a tracker or magnet to guide him in her direction. The protagonists hastily return to the pipes, but their tubes have been tampered with and end up in the dungeon of Bowser's castle. Laughing, Bowser demands Rosalina to order the Lumas to grant his wishes, or her children will suffer a painful end. But as Bowser says this, Yoshi pops out a power-up because of all the apples he ate in New York. They use this to break free from the dungeon, rescue Rosalina, and with help from the Luma, teleport away through a pipe. And because the room they escape in is the room of Bowser's possessions he's hoarded over the years, everything within falls through the pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom, including hundreds of Yoshi eggs. As Rosalina and Peach reunite, we learn that Peach had fallen into the river when she was young and sucked into a pipe, which had led her to this world. Rosalina spent her whole life searching for her daughter, but was unable to find the location. She searched the entire city's pipelines, but was always unsuccessful. Not to worry though, they're all alive and reunited. But maybe it is time to worry again, because Rosalina shockingly reveals that the Bowser who captured them isn't Bowser, that was Bowser Jr. Cut to Bowser Jr. approaching his father, who's 3 times his size and severely disappointed in his son for letting Rosalina escape. Jr. has spent his whole life trying to impress his father to find powerful stars and complete the mission his father was unsuccessful in achieving all those years ago at the Comet Observatory. He himself even collected many Lumas, only they're useless without Rosalina handing over the power. But luckily for the Bowsers, they don't need to go after Rosalina, knowing she'll be coming to them to rescue those captured Lumas. As the Mushroom Kingdom are preparing for Bowser's castle with help from Donkey Kong, all the Yoshi eggs begin to hatch, attaching themselves to the closest Toad or other protagonist before they march towards Bowser's castle. The Toads on their Yoshis battle the Koopas, while the main characters face Waluigi, Wario, and the Bowser family. The antagonists get the upper hand, with Jr. putting Rosalina in a position that forces her to transfer the power of the Lumas to Bowser Sr. But instead of acknowledging his son's accomplishment, Sr. takes all the credit. Bowser Sr. has the power of all the Lumas, preparing to use their magic to destroy Rosalina and her family. It's one against many, however the one has the upper hand. But as Bowser Jr. watches on, he sees all these people who love each other, trying to protect each other, while Bowser Sr. has only ever cared about himself, not even his own son. All Bowser Sr. ever wanted was power. So Bowser Jr. intervenes, stopping his father from using the magic by doing the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
Then together, he, his childhood friends Wario and Waluigi, plus all the other protagonists, defeat Bowser Sr., falling into his castle's volcano. Jr. apologizes for his behavior over all the years, and is not only forgiven, but invited to play a game of Mario Party back at the Mushroom Kingdom. Then in the post-credit scene, Bowser Sr. emerges from the lava as Dry Bowser. I fell off my chair when I found out Disney was making a third Frozen movie. Not because I was shocked they were making another one, but because I was swinging back on my chair and I lost my balance. Don't do that, it's dangerous. Anyway, wouldn't it be cool if Frozen 3 had the characters cross over with Rapunzel and Flynn, seeing as though we know they exist in the same universe? You could have Prince Hans be in it too, having him being released from prison but seeking revenge. He wants to rule the kingdom of Arendelle, but knows he's not powerful enough to defeat Elsa's magic. However, while at the Snuggly Duckling pub, Hans learns about a witch named Baba Yaga, and sets out on a quest to find her. When he does, she presents him with a magical staff with the power to absorb the elements out of the Northuldra forest. But despite this power, it has terms and conditions. If the staff is broken, dark magic will transform him into a monstrous creature devoid of mind and soul. This doesn't fear Hans, and sets out to absorb the power from the Northuldra forest, including stripping Elsa of her ice magic after a 1v1 magical fight. Elsa and the Northuldra people retreat to Arendelle, while Hans uses his new power to destroy the kingdoms Northuldra and Arendelle have treaties with, making the claim that this destruction must have come from Northuldra as they're known to have magic. The rulers of those kingdoms believe this story and seek revenge against Anna and Elsa, but Hans says he would be willing to help take over Northuldra and Arendelle and move the people there if he can be the one to rule the kingdom. They agree, and each of the kingdom's armies move out. Anna and Elsa are outnumbered in the battle, and in order to save their people, they must seek refuge with the only remaining kingdom they have a treaty with, Rapunzel's kingdom of Corona. Rapunzel is more than understanding and allows them to stay. However, back in Arendelle, Hans is a deceptive king, just as he was in the first movie, although the people love him as they're not aware of his evil ways, until Hans learns about the final kingdom that Arendelle have a treaty with and is concerned that they will try and dethrone him. This anger is witnessed by townsfolk, so he uses his magical stuff against them. Hans has frozen 3
He said it!
People to avoid having his secret exposed. But that secret doesn't stay hidden for long, as the characters of the Tangled movie and Frozen movies work together to battle Hans, which Hans ultimately wins. The end. I'm just kidding. They're able to break Hans' magical stuff, which divides the elements into them. Elsa gets her ice magic back, Anna becomes the Human Torch, Rapunzel gains the power of earth, Kristoff gets the elements of water, and Flynn becomes an airbender. The 5 of them stand over Hans as the terms and conditions of the spell take effect. Hans transforms into an enormous monstrous creature and attacks the newly powered characters. But the elemental heroes are able to defeat Hans, who explodes into magical dust. Then the movie ends with Elsa, Anna, Rapunzel, Kristoff and Flynn using their elements to rebuild the kingdoms and reform the treaties while singing a song, probably.
You got a friend in me.
Ah, what a way to conclude a franchise. JK, it made too much money, so we're getting Toy Story 5. Toy Story 3 concluded Andy's story, Toy Story 4 concluded Woody's story, what if Toy Story 5 concluded Sid's story? So it would be set about 5 years after the events of the 4th film, where Bonnie is a little older and has no interest in her toys. She donates them back to Sunnyside, but even the kids there aren't interested in playing with toys either. They're from the iPad generation, where their entertainment now comes from technology. Woody, Bo Peep and the rest of the Carnival gang are facing a similar issue and get in contact with the others to discuss their future. However, as message exchanges are occurring, a bunch of Buzz Lightyears show up who have escaped a truck while being sent back to a warehouse after taking off store shelves. They enter the Sunnyside daycare and destroy all the technology they can find, including the device this Buzz was using to communicate with Woody. These Lightyears intend on destroying technology, forcing kids to once again play with toys, but their motivation is more sinister as they're all on demo mode. The toys are willing to join the cause to try and win Bonnie back, but because the Lightyears have destroyed all the technology, there's no way to communicate with Woody and the others. Except for a really old computer that the Lightyears didn't even know was technology. Good thing these other toys have been around for a while. Woody receives the information that explains they're heading to Bonnie's house to fix things. However, just as they're leaving, Woody and Bo Peep need a drop to avoid being seen by people. As they do, one of these people recognizes Woody lying next to Bo Peep and picks him up. As the person is staring at Woody in his hands, a voice calls out, "Thanks again, Sid." This triggers a memory for Bo Peep, remembering Sid as Andy's next door neighbour, but can't save Woody as he's been taken away with him. Over at Sid's house, Woody is terrified, fearful of becoming one of those mutated toys. But Sid places Woody in front of him and shyly says, "Hi, Woody." Back with the other toys, they destroy Bonnie's tablet, then lay out patiently for her to find it so that she'd be forced to play with them. But Buzz decides to leave and join the revolution with the other Lightyears to help other toys return to being played with. However, as Buzz leaves, Bonnie finds the tablet. She's not just upset, but she has no interest in playing with the toys. The mission hasn't worked at all. The toys realize they may be in the wrong here and set out to warn Buzz, but before they can, Bo Peep and the others show up, alerting them of Woody's situation. Half the toys set out to the revolution's meeting point, while the others remain at Bonnie's house using Bo Peep's tablet to try and find Woody. Over with the cowboy, Sid is trying to get him to talk, but Woody isn't budging. This is when Sid starts to open up. He talks about how he's been in therapy since he was a kid because of the trauma those toys gave him. No one ever believed his toy story. If he had known about toys coming to life, he would have treated them better. As Sid is looking down in a depressed state, we hear Woody say, "Sorry." For the first time in the Toy Story series, we explore toys and people interacting with each other in a conversational way. We learn that Sid is an accomplished artist who was at the carnival because he was selling some of his artwork. Not only is he a great illustrator, but a comic creator too. His therapist said it might be therapeutic to translate his emotions into art, so he wrote a comic book on his interaction with Woody in the first movie, something Sid shows to him on his tablet. This confuses Woody, not realizing tablets could be used for illustrating. Sid explains that they don't just have to be used for brain rot. They're useful devices. It's not the device that's the problem, it's how people choose to use it. Woody then asks if he can use the tablet to communicate with the others to let them know that he's safe. He does so, and Sid even drives Woody over to Bonnie's house. Over with Buzz, he's starting to see the harm destroying technology is causing to kids and families, and has a change of heart. But when he tries to address his concerns to the revolution, the leader opposes the idea. That leader is Lotso. He's focused on stripping joy away from kids and uses his army of toys to destroy technology to put toys back on the top of the list of child's playthings. When the group of toys arrive at the Revolution's location, they see Lotso capturing Buzz, so use the Revolution's tablet to warn the others. However, as they press send, they themselves are captured too. The other toys back at Bonnie's house receive this message, setting out to save them just as Woody and Sid arrive. Woody explains the whole situation before Sid drives them to the others, saving them. Sid then addresses all the toys, saying that technology can be used for good. For one, the toys were able to communicate with each other through devices. He explains that a toy's purpose is more than just being a child's plaything. It's being nostalgia for the older generation who had the toy as a kid, it's being a friend with other toys and having adventures with each other, and it's about keep moving forward. Sid even offers the toys to come home with him, saying it would be nice to have someone to talk with while doing his artwork. Lotso and a number of the Lightyears take up this offer. As for Bonnie's toys, Sid takes them back to her house, where some of them return to live with her, along with Bo Peep's tablet and an Apple Pencil from Sid, trying to encourage Bonnie to use her tablet for more than just watching videos and playing games. As for the rest, Sid has a surprise for them. He drops off a piece of artwork he'd been working on, giving it to his brother-in-law, Andy. That's right, Andy married Sid's sister. Along with the artwork, he gives Andy his old toys, which he's happy to have back for nostalgia. They may no longer be a child's plaything, but the toys realize they don't need a kid to have adventures anymore. They can have fun together. The movie ends with Sid and Lotso now at peace. Sid now has confidence back in his life. Bonnie's toys are now enjoying their new life, trying to give her a more rounded experience with her iPad. And Andy's toys have found a new purpose, creating toy stories of their own without a kid. As the credits roll, we see the toys watching an interview on their iPad about Sid's comic being adapted into a movie called Toy Story 5.
He said it! He said it!
It was so big that it skipped over the first 4.
Peter, it doesn't work.
I have spoken!
Warner Brothers is making an animated Cat in the Hat, and the title character is not going to be voiced by Chris Pratt. But what if the story was a longer version of the transcript from that book, The Cat in the Hat?
He said it! He said it!
Imagine if Sing 3 was a movie musical where we know they can all sing like in any of them act. Actors read in the screenplay, Buster Moon is willing to pay. Rosita's choreographed every dance and the rest are ready to take the chance. Sing, sing, sing 3.
He said it! He said it!
More times. Sing, 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 it's gonna make a lot of dimes. Sing, 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 you can't do that with mimes. Sing, 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 I've run out of rhymes. I don't know a lot about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The only movie and show I've seen is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which I really liked. But I would have to do a bit of research to give a valid opinion on what I think could happen in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder Sensation.
He said it! He said it!
I don't know if that's what it's going to be called, but you can have that if you want, Paramount, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are. G'day, how's it going? Some other animated movies that have been announced is another Smurfs reboot, The Bad Guys 2, Elio and Hoppers are coming from Pixar, Aang the Last Airbender, The Spider-Verse still needs a conclusion, and we're also getting a Bluey movie. Anyway, let me know what time you want me to come in, Disney, Dreamworks, Illumination, Paramount, Pixar, 20th Century Animation, and Warner Brothers, so we can discuss this further. And thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments which animated movie you're looking forward to the most. And don't forget to absolutely obliterate those like, subscribe, and share buttons. I'm just kidding. Only do it with enough force that it registers. I don't want any of you breaking whatever device you're watching this on.